Hello, and thank you for joining us for Songs for the Future, a celebration of our apprentice programs for singers and theater technicians. My name is Robert Maya, and I'm the General Director of the Santa Fe Opera. Training the next generation of talent has been central to our mission since 1957, when our founder, John Crosby, established the Apprentice Program for singers. It was the first program of its kind in the United States, providing young singers the opportunity to understudy principal roles, sing smaller roles, and perform in the chorus of main stage productions. The Apprentice Program for theater technicians was established in 1965, offering instruction and practical experience in every aspect of theater production, including stage operations, properties, audiovisual, costumes, music services, wigs and makeup, electrics, and scenic art. I join you from the Marino Women's Chorus dressing room, where apprentice singers prepare for performances, often with the help of apprentice technicians in the costumes and wigs and makeup departments. The Santa Fe Opera invites approximately 40 singers and 70 technicians to participate in the apprentice programs each year. These aspiring young professionals come from all over the country to spend the summer in Santa Fe, learning from the finest teachers and industry leaders and making connections that last a lifetime. Even when our 2020 season was canceled, we remained committed to the members of the Apprentice Program, providing online classes in website design, creating better video auditions, and maintaining good habits in the hiatus. In 64 years, the Apprentice Programs have produced stellar alumni. We are joined tonight by recent graduates of both programs, and we will be treated to live performances by baritone Will Liverman, mezzo-soprano Emily Fons, and tenor Jack Swatson. And two highly esteemed former apprentices will co-host tonight's program. Ruth Carter is a costume designer for film and television with over 40 films to her credit. She has been nominated for the Academy Award for Best Costume Design 3 times, winning in 2018 for Black Panther. She's the first African American to win in this category. Ruth started her career as a Santa Fe Opera apprentice in 1985. Ruth's co-host is none other than the inimitable mezzo-soprano Joyce DiDonato. Joyce was a member of the 1995 Apprentice Program for singers, and since then has performed with every major opera company and orchestra in the world. She's a 3-time Grammy Award winner, and she has returned to the Santa Fe Opera in Massenet's Cendrillon and Rossini's La Donna del Lago. The Apprentice Program for singers and theater technicians are possible only with your support. If you are able, we encourage you to make a gift toward the Apprentice Programs by clicking the Donate Now button. With your help, we look forward to welcoming the 2021 class of apprentices to Santa Fe this summer. And now, it is a pleasure and an honor to introduce Joyce DiDonato, who is joining us from Spain. Thank you, Joyce, for being with us and sharing your experience as an apprentice.
Thank you, Robert, for that introduction. It is such a joy to come to you tonight. Even though we're separated by the miles, we are joined together in our hearts and our love for the Santa Fe Opera Apprentice Program. Thank you for joining us tonight. Any chance I get to speak about my experience as an apprentice with the Santa Fe Opera is a joy, because it was truly a life-changing summer for me. It changed the trajectory of my life as a human being and as an artist. There's a magical experience that happens in Santa Fe that is absolutely not replicable in any other theater or any other festival. It can only happen in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And this was an experience that I had. For the first time in my life, I was side by side with professional opera singers, the people who were living the dream that I was hoping to do. And it wasn't so much to share the stage with them in performance, which of course was thrilling, but it was to be side by side with them from the first day of rehearsal and to learn the craft of what brought them to the first day, to the opening night, and to the final performance. And this was something where I learned about professionalism and dedication. And I owe so much to these incredible singers that I shared the stage with. Every night I sang the second bridesmaid in the Marriage of Figaro. And every performance of Figaro, I think we had 14 shows or something that summer, I would go out into the theater in the fourth act to listen to Rebecca Evans sing De Vieni non tardar, and it would take my breath away every time. Banita Valente would look at us as the bridesmaids, and she would beam. And this was a chance to touch stardom as a young apprentice who was dreaming of a career in opera. I remember at the end of this life-changing summer saying to myself, I think it was our last show, and we were in the parking lot under all those spectacular stars. And I remember thinking, if this is all I get to do in this business, I'm happy, because this was everything I ever dreamt of. That's the kind of experience that the Santa Fe Opera Apprentice Program brings, whether you're backstage, in the makeup room, serving as a tech, a set builder, an opera singer in the chorus. We have life-changing experiences. So much so that when I made a phone call to have this fantastic makeup artist, Jimmy Cortez, come and do my makeup, well, as we were talking, guess who was also a Santa Fe apprentice in 1994? Absolutely. And he was on staff in 1995 with Santa Fe Opera. Yes. But we haven't been reunited since then. So this is the beauty of the program. You keep coming around and around, and the Santa Fe apprentices rule the opera world.
Absolutely.
So with that in mind, thank you, Jimmy. With that in mind, it's a real joy to pass this to some fantastic past apprentices and performers. And we really hope that you enjoy this experience tonight. Thank you for joining us.
Being an apprentice at Santa Fe can be pretty challenging. Between your busy rehearsal schedule, the master classes, the house auditions, the scenes programs, the performances themselves, there's also some preparation you have to make before you arrive there.
You have to show up knowing your chorus music perfectly and memorized within, one run-through of it.
The drive there, I think it was 34 hours from Philadelphia to Santa Fe, was filled with trying to memorize my 3 scores, my choral scores, my solo repertoire, and have it all ready to go before I arrived.
It is 7,200 feet. There is pretty much zero humidity to be found. And for singing, that's not the easiest thing in the world.
If you're like me, who comes from sea level, it's really hard. It takes 3 weeks to really get adjusted and able to sing like normal.
Prior to coming to the Santa Fe Opera, I had inadequate vocal stamina, and I was never pushed to put my voice in such demand. And I had a choice to make. I had to either adapt or give up.
But you adapt to it, and you're able to become the best singer you can be. So when you go back down to sea level, you become something of an operatic Superman.
You're just rolling through these long phrases like it's nothing.
The challenge became an opportunity for me to grow a stronger, a healthier technique.
It's really challenging, and a lot is expected of you. But in the end, those expectations really make you grow and make you learn a lot about yourself and what you're capable of.
Something memorable that happened backstage, being in the production of Romeo and Juliet with the enormous hoop skirts was always an adventure.
Getting to meet Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I know I speak for myself and many of my colleagues who've gotten to meet her over the years. That made a huge impact on me, not only knowing that she appreciated the work we were doing, but to have her also in the audience for several of our performances.
We were performing as usual, and then it started storming. And it got stormier.
My costume that summer was little linen capris and a little linen crop top. And it's freezing cold, and there's lightning flashes, and I'm staged to be laying on the floor for an entire duet scene.
And what makes it so memorable was that, at least for me, I felt like we had something to do with the weather.
Maybe a little scary and definitely cold, but one of the coolest, most beautiful experiences of my life.
I, for some reason, thought that we had called that weather upon us. It was a really cool feeling that I'll never forget.
That's for sure. And neither will the audience. I'm sure everyone who was there that night really remembers being soaked by Act 2.
Being an apprentice at the Santa Fe Opera had, in my opinion, huge ramifications for my future and my career development.
It allowed me to really hone my craft. I got to work with some of the best coaches in the world as many times as I wanted.
For example, I had a chance to sing for Joyce DiDonato, which was great, who I've now worked with here in Munich.
While simultaneously working with some of the best artists on the stage.
You had a lot of elements at play. It wasn't just stagecraft, it was also individual voice work and performance work and technique and language that you were developing.
So you really get the experience of working around the masters and just absorbing everything that they've learned over their years and years of experience. What do I miss about my time at Santa Fe?
I mean, I miss every single thing about being a young artist at Santa Fe.
The campus for sure, the views.
Of course, my colleagues and the staff.
It was a really special summer for me to meet people who truly care about their craft.
It was the perfect balance between when you had to work, you worked, and then you could also have time to relax and to be, friends with your colleagues.
You really feel included in the making of art.
Their attitude has changed my attitude towards this art form and life in general.
The Santa Fe Opera not only changed my life professionally, but also personally. I met my wife, Emma, while we were both working at the Santa Fe Opera. I proposed to her in Santa Fe in 2019, and we got married on February 29th of 2020 in Santa Fe, right before the whole world shut down. So Santa Fe will always be my most favorite place on earth.
Thank you so much. What a joy to listen to these stories. Every single one of us that has the honor of gracing the Santa Fe Opera during a summer comes away with our own memorable stories that we remember literally the rest of our lives. Unbelievably unforgettable summers. I want to thank you all so much for being here tonight, for taking the time and the attention to the Santa Fe Opera Apprentice Program, and to encourage you as best you can to continue to support the trajectory of these young artists. As you've seen, we go out into the world, and the foundational elements that we receive throughout those 3 months, the Santa Fe Opera, are invaluable, but they're expensive. So we appreciate all the support that you can give us, and we promise you that with all of our fortitude and energy, as we emerge from this period, the renaissance that is coming will be full of our creative potential and talent and spirit, and we'll come out here to remind you and remind humanity of what's really important in life. So thank you for your support. It is now my pleasure, I'm gonna fangirl out here a little bit, to introduce Santa Fe Opera's apprenticeship's own Will Liverman to join us. After his apprenticeship, Will went on to conquer the English National Opera, the Chicago Lyric Opera, Seattle Opera, the Metropolitan Opera, and of course, to return home on the stage of the Santa Fe Opera. Do stay tuned, because now Will is also, besides one of the most beautiful voices I've ever heard, and an unbelievable pianist, he's also a composer. And his opera Factotum, which he's been busy writing, I believe, is going to take over the world soon. So what a joy to welcome somebody with not only a great voice and great artistry, but a tsunami of creative talent inside of him. Will, thank you for bringing all of you to the world. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Joyce, and hello. My 2 summers at Santa Fe, first as an apprentice artist and later as a principal artist, were some of the most amazing and rewarding experiences of my career. The coaching staff and the music staff are some amazing people, and I feel that I've grown leaps and bounds by working with some of the best minds in the business. Santa Fe Opera also helped me further my career, and I was able to make lots of connections by singing and meeting lots of important people in the industry. So I would like to give a big thank you for making this important program possible and for your support in young artists as they pursue their careers in opera. I'm so happy to be singing for you today. Of course, I wish it were live. I know I speak for every artist out there when I say we just can't wait to get back on stage in full force. But most importantly, we can't wait to have a live audience again, because absolutely nothing beats that energy and that connection. And I'm sure you as well can't wait to be back sitting in the seats in the theaters and experiencing live music again as soon as we're able. And I hope that day is coming. But in the meantime, I would like to offer Silvio's aria from I Pagliacci. I Pagliacci is actually my #1 favorite opera of all time. And in this excerpt, in this scene, Silvio is a secret lover to Nedda, and Nedda is a part of the traveling circus. And I imagine that Silvio's been waiting a long time to have this moment with Nedda to convince her to leave her life behind and to run away with him. I'm joined today by pianist Chris Reynolds, and I hope you all enjoy. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Ray Lutz.
And I am Nancy Lutz.
I began attending performances of the Santa Fe Opera in 1957 on opening night of the first production, Madame Butterfly.
And I joined Ray in 1958 for Così van tutte. After that, we were hooked. Oh, and we got married in August of that year.
In 1970, we began supporting the opera through donations to the annual fund. The Apprentice Program for Singers is a big reason why we decided to give.
And we have sponsored one member of the Apprentice Program every year since 2001. And we decided to include the opera in our estate plans to create a fund that will sponsor 2 apprentice singers annually in perpetuity.
I am also the unofficial librarian of the Apprentice Program for Singers. I keep a record of every apprentice and follow their careers after Santa Fe. And I help keep sponsors in touch with the apprentices they support.
Our lives have been enriched by our association with the Apprentice Program for Singers.
It has been incredibly meaningful to play a role in the success of a singer's professional journey and to follow that journey.
Both of us had careers in education, so this is a natural evolution of our lifetime commitment to providing opportunities for young people.
We hope you will consider joining us and making a gift towards the apprentice programs.
Your gift is an investment in the future of opera. Consider giving now by clicking the Donate Now button.
And now it is our great pleasure to introduce mezzo-soprano Emily Fons, a Santa Fe Opera apprentice in 2008 and 2009.
Since then, Emily has returned to the Santa Fe Opera in The Marriage of Figaro, Cold Mountain, and Romeo and Juliet.
And I hear she might be with us again sometime in the future.
Emily has been in her native Wisconsin, but performs for us today from Chicago.
Thank you all, and welcome Emily.
Thank you, Ray and Nancy, for that introduction and for your long-term and continued support of the Santa Fe Opera Young Artists. I drove down to Chicago today from my physical home in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but I think of the Santa Fe Opera very much as my first artistic home. I know that you all have heard a lot about the professional and training experiences available to young artists at the opera. I brought a prop with me today that I think will show you that those experiences are just one part of what a young artist takes away from the Santa Fe Opera. In the context of community, all those opportunities become so much more powerful. I bought this sweatshirt in 2008 at the gift shop, and I wear it almost every day. And the things it reminds me of are not only those first experiences as a singer and a first sense of belonging to a community that I so badly wanted to be a part of. But of all the friendships, the professional relationships, the time in nature, the adopting of my dog Lupita in 2009, all of that is in this sweatshirt that I put on every day. So, that being said, the next time you take that drive up Opera Drive to the Opera campus, I just want you to imagine that you're seeing it for the first time, like a young artist. Every summer, a new batch of young artists sees that view for the first time and is swept up in everything that the Santa Fe Opera is. So thank you for your continued support of your young artists, for sending them off on a journey full of professional and life experiences that will go with them for the rest of their artistic and regular lives. Today, I am absolutely honored to perform for you an aria from Stanislav Moniuszko's Strasny Dvor. This aria is sung by the character Jadwiga in her home with her sister Hanna, which is Strasny Dvor, the haunted manor. Jadwiga is singing on New Year's Eve about the traditional fortune-telling that they will be doing and the divination to figure out who their future husbands will be. The aria ends with her saying, "This might be sinful to be doing this divination, but I think that because we're just innocent and curious, God will forgive the game." Thank you to Chris Reynolds for accompanying me today and collaborating on this piece. I hope you enjoy.
Hi, my name is Susan Esco Chandler. I'm a huge opera fan and a member of the Santa Fe Opera Board of Directors.
And I'm Appy Chandler, Susan's husband. And right now, we're talking to you from the back deck, directly behind the opera's stage. Behind us, you can see the Jemez Mountains.
I first began attending the Santa Fe Opera back in the late 1970s, before the theater even had a roof.
And I first began attending in 2001, the year Susan and I got married.
Soon our occasional summer trips to Santa Fe became a must-do tradition. Over the years, we realized that what had simply started as an annual treat was turning into a real commitment. And as such, we wanted to do more than simply buy season tickets and make an annual gift.
After some thought, we decided to show our support by sponsoring a member of the Apprentice Program. As a former educator, I've always been attracted to opening doorways, which allow young people to explore careers.
For my part, because I've had a professional interest in fashion design, I suggested we sponsor a technical apprentice specializing in costume craft.
Well, that sounded good to me too. And so for the last 5 years, that's exactly what we've done.
By choosing to sponsor a female apprentice technician, I hope to make professional opportunities in the arts more available to young women.
So why not join us in our efforts to open doorways? Please support the Apprentice Program by clicking the button that says, "Donate now."
By doing so, you'll make a meaningful impact in the life of an emerging theater technician.
And now, we're thrilled to introduce former Santa Fe Opera apprentice and Academy Award-winning costume designer, Ruth E. Carter.
After her time in Santa Fe, Ruth moved to Los Angeles, where she met director Spike Lee. Today, they're frequent collaborators.
And as they say, the rest is history.
Ruth joins us today from Los Angeles. Thank you and welcome, Ruth.
Hello, my name is Ruth Carter, and I'm pleased to join you from my home in Los Angeles. Thank you for the introduction, Susan and Appy. I learned about the Santa Fe Opera Apprentice Program while working for a theater company in my hometown of Springfield, Massachusetts. The head cutter in the costume department encouraged me to apply, and before I knew it, I was driving across country in my Volkswagen Rabbit. As a costume apprentice, I was a stitcher working on a team with a head cutter and a first hand. We built costumes during the day and helped run shows at night. At the end of the season, there was a special evening of scenes performed and designed by apprentices. I worked on a scene from Faust, where an old man makes a deal with the devil for youth. It was my job to design the costume that would reveal his transformation from old to young on stage. It was so encouraging to meet other recent college graduates that wanted to work in costume design. We all lived together, too, in an artist colony on Camino del Monte Sol. We got dressed up for opening nights, and since we didn't have a lot of money, we made our own dresses. The grounds were absolutely beautiful too. I remember eating lunch in an outdoor area near a swimming pool. Everything about the experience was enriching. I learned so much about sewing, crafts, and self-discipline. Professional designers would come through the costume shop, and I got to see that they were people like me. Their creations were works of art, and they instilled in me the true desire to design. I moved to LA after my apprentice season, met Spike Lee shortly afterwards, and my career took flight. I will hold the Santa Fe Opera near and dear always. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce several recent graduates of the Apprentice Program for Theater Technicians to share their memories and experiences. Thank you for helping to support these creative and talented young professionals.
One of the things that makes Santa Fe stand out is the environment.
Just the location, being in the high mountain desert.
At the Santa Fe Opera, you can look to your right or your left and see, beautiful stars. You can sip Santa Fe wine and enjoy a beautiful costume.
We have the cantina and we have the pool and then there's the theater and then there's the lawns and the sitting areas. And
it's just so beautiful that it lifts you up even on your hardest days. But what's truly unique and what I love about the opera is all the people that work there year-round.
All of the designers, the singers, the stage managers, the shop staff, everyone is working together to create a beautiful product and tell beautiful stories.
It's not that other companies don't work well together, but the environment in Santa Fe is just somehow, it's a next level family-like.
It's a really wonderful place, and I'm lucky to call it home.
I have several favorite places at the Santa Fe Opera, but one of the places that I find both sacred and special is the light booth during a performance. It's this great balance between being able to see the entire audience, being able to see the stage, we can hear what's happening on stage, but we're also surrounded by monitors where we're monitoring the technical aspects of the shows as well. You can kind of experience all of it from the light booth.
My favorite place at the opera is the track room on that very first orchestra rehearsal with singers on stage. And you can hear the orchestra music just rising and the singers echoing through the trap room.
When I think about my favorite places at the Santa Fe Opera, there are a lot of interesting moments that pop into my mind, but none of them as important as watching sunsets from the back deck.
The back deck.
The back steps. When I picture Santa Fe and I close my eyes and I'm walking up to the opera, it is the back steps, and it's the first place I go. It's the first thing I see.
Even at the worst of the wind, running like chickens with our heads cut off to cover scenery with tarps, or wrestling with a tarp that was flapping in the wind to tie it down, you could still always pause and look out to those flat mesas that were beyond the opera. And I have such a special calming feeling when I think about those sunsets and those times.
Sitting on those back steps, listening to the orchestra tune, feeling the energy of the people around you, the technicians gathering, stage management getting ready, everybody coming together, getting ready to put on that production while we're watching a sunset. It's an incredible place.
My time at the Santa Fe Opera changed my career path entirely.
I was so fortunate to have the Santa Fe Opera as one of the first and most impressionable places to work, especially very early on in my career development.
I was in graduate school for scenic design, and then I apprenticed at the opera in the prop shop, and I fell in love with props, and I have been making them ever since.
Santa Fe helped me to be in a position professionally and skill-wise that made it possible for me to meet the challenges that I found in New York.
I learned everything that you have to learn to be
able to successfully put up an opera?
The people that I met at the Santa Fe Opera really guided my path throughout the rest of my career. They showed me that there was more to the industry than just lighting design. There was possibility and potential in different fields that I didn't know about. I went on to become a production electrician and lighting programmer. And I really owe a lot of that to the people that I met in Santa Fe, those contacts.
If it wasn't for my time there, I wouldn't have met a staff artist named Mark Jensen. Now, Mark Jensen was a staff artist there who introduced me to the La Jolla Playhouse. He brought me on as an employee there. And if it wasn't for my leap into the La Jolla Playhouse, I wouldn't have helped work on projects that ultimately went to Broadway or earned myself one of these. This is an Emmy I won for the art direction on the musical television show Rent Live on Fox last year. And I only bring that up because that is the impact that Santa Fe Opera can have. It was the connection from the leadership that Mark Edlin, who's in charge of the scene shop, the skill, the artistry, the time management, the kindness, learning how to be safe as an employee as much as a good artist. I took those skills and went to the La Jolla Playhouse and went from the La Jolla Playhouse to the city of Los Angeles. And that is a game-changing career move that all came from my decision to apply to the Santa Fe Opera.
I have a lot of things that I miss about the Santa Fe Opera, but first and foremost, I miss the people.
What I miss most about the Santa Fe Opera are the people.
It's the people that make this place special.
It is work, but it's not just work.
You know, we often refer to ourselves as a Santa Fe family, and it really is that. These are the people you invite to your wedding. These are the people you send your Christmas cards to, the people that you call when you're sad, the people that you call when you need employment. The Santa Fe Opera Network, the Santa Fe Opera people and family are something that I will always cherish.
I miss leaving work at 2 a.m. after tech and then coming back at 8 a.m. for another rehearsal. But I'm not the only one doing that. We're all doing it together.
Even though the work it can sometimes be strenuous and long hours and even sometimes just complicated to execute, it's still, it doesn't feel as much like work because it's just, it's like working with people you just want to, it's like spending time with people that you just want to spend time with.
I miss sitting in the design office with the lighting staff while we're all very tired and worn out, probably hangry, and just having a time to hang out together, to do good work, but to get to know each other in ways that you can really only do when you're in these kinds of environments where it's both really intense, it's really hard work, but it's so fulfilling. And when you get to do it with people that have such integrity in what they do, but also in who they are, it's a really special thing, and I miss it dearly.
And then when it all comes together in the end, and you see what a wonderful thing you've created and that you've created with other people and the big picture, which is always what we're after in the end, is the big picture, not just our little corner of what we do for that picture. You can look around you at the faces and everyone there loves the success of the company and they love the artistry and putting real art on stage, and they really appreciate each other and what each other department does and the people that they work with. They appreciate the joined effort.
That was so inspiring. It is clear to me that the apprentice programs have only grown over time, and that the Santa Fe Opera is still as magical as my memories. Now, I'm delighted to introduce tenor Jack Swanson, a former member of the Apprentice Program for Singers, who joins us with a fitting final song. Since his time as an apprentice, Jack has made company debuts with Glyndebourne Opera, Los Angeles Opera, and the Lyric Opera of Kansas City. Many of you will remember him as Lindoro in Santa Fe Opera's 2019 production of The Italian Girl in Algiers. Thank you again, and welcome, Jack.
Thank you, Ruth, and welcome to snowy Minneapolis. My name is Jack Swanson, and I'm so happy to be able to perform for you all this evening. Of course, I wish it was in person, as I love all of you people in Santa Fe, and I miss the musical experiences that happen there. In 2014 and 2015, I was an apprentice at the Santa Fe Opera. The people I met and the opportunities that were given to me are what paved a way for me to become a full-time professional opera singer. When I think of Santa Fe, I think of the beautiful mountains, the big blue skies, and all the wonderful music making that happens there. Tonight, my pianist Roderick Phipps Kettlewell and I will perform a piece that I think encompasses all those things. This is What a Wonderful World.